Here's another equation from section 2.1 that involves fractions. The first part of this problem asks you to write the value or values of the variable that make the denominator 0. So let's take a look at our denominators that contain variables. We have a 3x and a 6x. We want to make sure that whatever we replace the x with, that we don't end up with 0 as an answer, because those are in the denominator and that will make them undefined. So 3x, if we set that equal to 0 and divide both sides by 3, we'll find that x equal to 0 would make that denominator 0 and therefore undefined. And if we did the same for 6x, we find that x can't be 0 for that one either. So we really only have one restriction on this one. X can equal 0, because that will give us some undefined fractions here. So now that we've got that done, the B part is finding what the solutions are, keeping in mind that 0 can't be one of those. So we need to find our least common denominator. And the way that I do this is the way that I find it no matter if I have numbers, if I have numbers with variables, if I have trinomials, any of that. I take each of my denominators and I factor them as much as I can. So I'm going to list my denominators and factor them. 3x is just 3 times x. 4, if I write it in prime factorization, is 2 times 2. 6x would be 2 times 3 times x. And 3 is just 3. 3 times 1 is the only way you can factor 3, and 1 is not a prime number. Prime numbers are 2 or greater that only have that number and 1 as factors. So this method for finding the lowest common denominator works no matter what you're working with, as long as you factor everything. We're going to take our very first number in our list and we're going to write down all of its factors. We're going to multiply all of its factors together. So we have 3 times x. Then we go to the next number in our list, in this case is 4, and we've got 2 times 2 as factors. I don't have any 2's for factors yet, so I'm going to multiply those in. And then when I look at my third number in my list, I have 2 times 3 times x. Well, I have a 2, I have a 3, and I have an x, so I don't need any part of this. And then when I look at the 3, I already have that, so I don't need any part of that. So this is my lowest common denominator. And when I multiply it out, I get 12x. Now the reason we find our lowest common denominator is so that we can multiply all parts of our equation by that and simplify so that we don't have any denominators anymore. So it simplifies our equation so we don't have any fractions. So go ahead and do 12x times 2 over 3x plus 12x times 1 over 4 equals 12x times 67 over 6x minus 12x times 1/3. Now 3x will go into 12x 4 times. 4 will go into 12x 3x times. And I go ahead and rewrite with the x and everything because sometimes when I cross these out, I forget about the x. And I don't want to lose that, so I'm just going to rewrite the whole thing. 6x will go into 12x twice. 3 will go into 12x 4x times. So now I can rewrite what I have left. So I have 4 times 2. Here I have 3x times 1. Here I have 2 times 67. And here I have 4x times 1. Now I went ahead and multiplied, put that in, multiplied by 1, even though it's not really necessary, just so that you can see how I got each term. So 4 times 2 is 8. 3x times 1 is just a 3x. 2 times 67, that would make it 134. And then we have The last term is 4x times 1, so I'll just make it 4x. And notice I kept all the signs that I had before, all the operation signs. So, from this point, it's just like any other equation that you would work. We can add 4x to both sides if you like. So we'll have 8 plus 7x is equal to 134. Subtract 8 from both sides, and 7x is equal to 126. Then divide both sides by 7, and you'll have what x is equal to. I believe that's 18. So, since we found a value for x that's not 0, that one should work. You can go back and check it, but you would put this in your solution set. X is equal to 18. Now the other options that we have for that are that the solution set is x such that x is a real number, and that's this one, or that the solution set is, and this symbol is for the empty set. That means there's not an answer. There's no solution if you pick that one. Since our answer didn't turn out to be 0 when we got to the bottom, this is not the answer. Since we came up with just one answer, it can't be any real number. We found it only works if it's 18 for x. So that's why we picked this one.